back to Mobility Insider. I'm Morten Handelsbo. Our channel is not sponsored. All of the views and conclusions are based on me having worked in the automotive industry for 35 years. Now, this includes having worked 14 years with the brand Audi. And today we're going to talk about this Audi RS7. It's a car we bought used in 2022. It is a model year 2016, which is the first year after the facelift of the RS7. A little bit about the A7 and the RS7, of course. It was first shown in 2010. It's designed by the German designer Stefan Silaff, and it builds on a history of large limousine cars from Audi. But there was a big gap between 1982, where the Audi 100 was discontinued, until 2010, when they showed the A7. After Audi showed the A7, a couple of years later, they brought out the RS7. This was the 4G8 version of it. That was built for 4 years. And then this car was replaced by the 4K8 model of the RS7 in 2019. That is still being produced today. The RS7 is very similar to the RS6 in the way it's been built and the way it's constructed. So those cars share the engine and a lot of the technology, but in fact they're also quite different the way they drive and the way they look. Audi has a long tradition of building sporty, everyday usable vehicles, and the RS7 is a really good example of that. If you compare that to the full range of the RS models, 3, 4, RS5, RS6 and the RS7, I think this is the car that gives you the best combination of design and that RS feeling when you drive it. This car was designed back in 2009, 2010, and it was way ahead of its time when it came out. And it still holds up really well, not only on the outside and the technology with the engine, but also on the inside. And I'll take you through some of the details of the car when we go for drive. This is the standard version of the RS7. It has a 4-liter V8 engine with twin turbos, 560 horsepower. And you can easily tune it to more than that, 700 or even up to 1000 horsepower if you want to. And there's also a performance version of the car that comes from the factory with about 600 horsepower. There's enough power in these cars. If you compare it to the new RS7 that came out in 2019, the new one is more aggressive in its styling and the way it looks and drives. I really like this design. It is a little bit more subtle, but it's still very much modern. So back in 2022, when I looked at various RS7 models, I was very specific about what I wanted to find. I wanted a car from an Audi dealer. I wanted a car that preferably had just had one owner before me. And last but not least, I wanted the car to have a full service history. And I found this car that brought all of that and then decided to buy it. So why is maintenance so important? Well, this car has a complicated 4-liter V8 engine, 560 horsepower, twin turbos, and it is a very powerful engine. And of course, the strain, the powertrain and the transmission is something you have to be aware of, and you have to take care of the car so that it would last for a very long time. At that time, it had 93,000 kilometers. Today, it is at 107,000 kilometers. Now, these cars are really powerful cars, and if you drive them in the wrong way, it will have a lot of wear and tear on the car. So using those criteria, you have a decent chance of finding a car that has been taken really well care of. And that is important for the coming years when you have a car of this type. Let me list what this car has needed to have replaced or fixed over its lifetime. First, there was the issue of the oil filters in the turbochargers, which caused several engines to blow up when approaching 100 to 150,000 kilometers. And this car had that repair work done in June of 2022 at 95,000 kilometers at zero cost. Also in June of 2022, a thermostat needed replacement and the headlamps needed adjustment. That cost 748 Swiss francs. In February of 2023, the fuel lid lock mechanism needed replacement, and that cost 124 Swiss francs. In April of this year, it also had a lambda sonders failing, but this was also fixed under warranty by Audi at zero cost. Apart from these issues, all the car has needed was the regular Audi service and oil changes, which were included free of charge up to 100,000 kilometers. A regular service was done in November 2023 at 105,000 kilometers, and that cost 1,056 Swiss francs. From new, the RS7s were quite expensive and could easily cost up to 150,000 Swiss francs or more. And now you can pick up a good specimen for 50 or 60,000 Swiss francs. But one thing is buying one, another is running it as your daily driver. So let me run through the cost of running a used RS7. So first, buying one, expect to pay 50 to 60,000 Swiss francs for a well-maintained, untuned RS7 from 2016 or 2017 with 80 to 90,000 kilometers. The depreciation will likely be about 10% per year for the next 5 years, so approximately 5,500 Swiss francs per year. In terms of fuel consumption, expect an average consumption of 14 liters per 100 kilometers with mixed driving. So for 10,000 kilometers per year, expect 1,400 liters of 98 run petrol at approximately 2 Swiss franc per liter, in total 2,800 Swiss francs per year. Tires, I just changed the 20-inch tires to new Pirelli Sotoceros. The cost was 1,960 including fitting. Tires last approximately 20,000 kilometers, so that will cost you approximately 980 Swiss francs per year. Winter tires, because every spring and autumn I have the dealer change the tires to summer or winter tires, and the cost is about 194 Swiss francs each time including storage, so a total of 388 Swiss francs per year. Service cost will cost you approximately 1,056 Swiss francs, and that includes 8.7 liters of premium Castrol Edge oil filters, air filters and other fluids. Insurance is fairly expensive. I pay 2,180 Swiss francs per year for comprehensive cover. Road tax is also quite expensive because of the weight and the consumption. I pay 559 Swiss francs per year. Repairs, so far just a few, totaling 872 Swiss francs, but beyond the 100,000 kilometer mark, I'd put aside 2,500 Swiss francs for repairs per year to keep the car running in top condition. In total, with some 10,000 kilometers per year, expect the cost to be approximately 7,650 Swiss francs per year, plus fuel and depreciation. So including fuel and depreciation, the total cost doubles to some 15,950 Swiss francs per year, which is still not bad for a supercar. So I've had my share of RS models from Audi, from RS4, RS5, RS6, RSQ8, as well as the RS7. This is my third RS7. What this car does particularly well is that it combines the way it drives as a limousine. You can cruise, it's quiet, it's comfortable, very controlled, and you can change the character of the vehicle to become a sports car, and it is pretty much like a Lamborghini when you drive it. And this is the only car in the range that does that so well, and this is what you get when you get an RS7 as compared to an RS6, which is a more sporty vehicle, and also the shape of the car is very different because it's a station wagon. Now let's move the car into sport mode and you see what I mean. So. And there will be very few cars that can make this change as quickly as the RS7 can do. Like in any RS model from Audi, you get the pinnacle of the technology and also the pinnacle of the way they design the ergonomics in the car. This is a driver's car and you have to be in full control when you drive it. That's a philosophy. And if you look at the car today, how it works, it is brilliant because you have buttons for everything. You can physically change the function if you want. You don't have to go in through the screen as many new cars force you to today. This is a big advantage when you drive the car for miles and miles and miles. You get this muscle memory and you know exactly where to change the function you want to change. This car is the facelifted 2016 model, and with that you get the better entertainment system with a faster processor. You also get the heads-up display, and you get the steering wheel, which is the round steering wheel because the car also has a heated steering wheel. And in the car, the design is very much the Audi RS, very sporty design. You got the black piano design combined with the brushed aluminium, and it all is centered around the driver, and it all gives a really contemporary and also modern and yet sporty look. One treat that this car has particularly is the Bang & Olufsen premium sound system. And one of the really nice features is that you have the tweeters coming up from the dashboard when you turn on the engine, and then they disappear when you turn it off again. That's a really nice little feature that is special about the car. And of course the sound system is pretty good too. So the RS models are generally very sporty cars, but they don't compromise on the comfort either. And the seats are a very good example of that. Great quality, fantastic Valcona leather, and really comfortable on long trips. A couple of other things that I think this car does really well is that if you go on the highway at a constant speed, the car will shut off 4 of the 8 cylinders, and the consumption will easily drop to maybe 9 or 10 liters per 100 kilometers. There was a recall, the RS models and the S models with this engine a couple of years ago because Audi had experienced a number of problems with the engine when they hit about 100 to 150,000 kilometers. The problem was that the turbochargers, they have a filter for the oil that cools the turbocharger. And those filters clogged up, and that caused the turbocharger to be warmer than they should because it didn't get enough oil. And that then caused a failure that would easily cost about 10,000 Swiss francs or dollars or euros. And obviously that is not acceptable. So Audi finally decided to recall the cars and change the filters at their expense, and I think most of the cars now have had that work done. Other than that, if you maintain your car well, make the oil changes, you will easily get 200,000 kilometers or more in this car when you just treat it the way it should be treated with proper maintenance. That brings me to the conclusion on the RS7, and let me put that into a bit of context and talk about the competition as well. Now, let's say you want to have a fast luxury limousine like the RS7. That plays in that segment where you have BMW M5, you have Porsche Panameras, you have the Mercedes E-Series, the AMG 63, and those are really nice cars, all of them. It's up to you to choose which one is the better one. I really like the Audi RS7, and I recommend that you try the RS7 or RS6 because that gives you that really true German luxury fast limousine feeling. Now, whichever model you would like to go for, in any case, you should look for a low mileage car, preferably with less than 100,000 kilometers. And the reason for that is that these cars are normally fairly well maintained because Mercedes, BMW and Audi, they all have service packages, including the service up to 100,000 kilometers. So service will be done because it's free of charge. The Porsche Panamera doesn't have that. You can still find really good cars, but I would probably recommend you look at the Mercedes, the BMW or the Audi for that reason, and a low mileage car. To me, that 100,000 kilometer mark is very important because beyond that, the warranty is gone and the service work is up to the individual decision of the driver because it's no longer free of charge. So that's why if you look for a car that has considerably more mileage than 100,000, let's say 150,000 kilometers, you don't know how the car has been treated between 100 and 150,000. And I think that can be a critical issue for the future and may cause you a lot of very expensive repairs. As with any used car, I think the car, even though it's done 100,000 kilometers and a few years old, it should still look like a new car because if it doesn't, it tells you that the car has not been maintained well. And when you buy a used car in this category, big engine, lots of power, do try to get a 1-year warranty at least as an extension, or even more if you can. These cars have a automatic scheduling of the services, so it may be 15 or 20,000 kilometers between the oil changes. I recommend after 100,000 kilometers that you do have an oil change made every 10,000 kilometers, because that is very likely going to save you cost in the longer run. Thank you for watching Mobility Insight. I hope you liked the video. If you did, give us a thumbs up. If you know someone who might benefit from seeing this video, do share it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you.